In this recording, I'm going to be showing a network license, borrowing a network license using the M8070 and then also the Flex DCA and show how it's done. So I do have a license server set up on my remote machine. So first of all, what you want to do is go to Keysight License Manager 6. And we need to first specify a remote floating license server. So in order to do that, we click here and we need to know the address. I do know the address and the format is @hostname. So if we go and it's my host name is 10.0.0.113 and we say next. Licensing action successful. So the next thing is let's just double check what happened. Excuse me. So we see that we are looking at a license file here. Now, if we want to go ahead and look at the licenses, we can say processing license information. So now we are reading what is available on the server. So I would like to check out the M8070 ADVB. But before I do that, I want to show that there is nothing installed on the M8070 ADVB. I am running an offline version of the M8070 software, so this is a good way to test it. So let's just move that to the side. We'll give it a second or two to come up. So the software has the general startup. I'm just going to use generic BERT. I'm going to let that launch. We are using 8.5. Version 8.5 is the first version that supported this. 8.5.380.14 is the latest version, but any version that's 8.5 or higher will work. Anything lower than this, it will not work. And the issue with the earlier versions was when you return the license, it was still attached. They have made a fix so that when you return a license, it detaches so it's available to another user in the lab. So I'll go to the factory preset. Okay, and we'll go to utilities. We'll look, well, first of all, I'll know there's no licenses installed. I only see error ratio. Anything else will open up a number of tests here. However, we can go here and check as well and not installed. So there's no other licenses installed. So we're going to close this. Okay, we're going to close that. Now we're going to go borrow the license. So we've already defined the server. These are the ones that are available and in use. So we're now going to go to borrow a floating license. We will borrow that license. The license we will borrow is the ADVB package, which has a number of measurements that we can use, and we'll select the same return date. Now you can change that to whatever you like on the calendar here. We're going to go next. And it's been borrowed successfully. So now we can go into license usage. I think we need to refresh that. Yeah, there we go. You have to refresh, view licenses, and so forth. And if you wanted to return that right away, you made a mistake or something, you could do that. It will actually check. Yes, you have checked it out. That's another way to test it. What I'm going to do now is run M8070 again. So Flex DCA, M8070B, and let that launch. Okay, we're at this stage. We'll just use the generic BERT and then let that start. And as soon as that comes up, we will go factory preset and we will show that we, first of all, we have a lot more measurements. That's a very good clue that we've got a license of some sort. And under licenses, we can take a look and that is installed. Okay, so now we need to uninstall it. Now, if you uninstall it, you always have to restart the application software because it only checks on entry. So we're going to return the license. So I've closed the software out, going to return the license that we borrowed. M8070 ADVB, next. Done. Okay, let's check the license usage. Let's refresh. It's talking to the server, and now the license has been put off. There's no license showing up to return, and so forth. So now we go back to the M8070B, run that. Okay, factory preset. Now we're going to go in and we should see that there are no licenses activated, and that is the case here. So again, if you're using an earlier version, this would still show up and it would be actually still kind of checked out in the background, which we do not want. So if you do run into that where it didn't return it correctly, this is probably what the problem is. Again, not installed. That's exactly what we want. Now it can be available to another user in the lab. Okay, so that's the M8070B. Let's go to Flex DCA now. Flex DCA, we're going to run that. Again, I'm running the offline version. I'm just running it on a laptop, completely unlicensed, but I did download the base software. Version 6.8 supports it. Now I'm using a beta version, but any version after this one, 6.889, that has been fully released at this point. Now, what I do like about Flex DCA is they actually show you when you see this key, it requires that you have a license key or you will not have the licenses. You can also check under Tools, Licensing to see what's there. And it's also very clear which licenses are installed. There's none installed at this point. So now they give you a link to a tool to do this. Now, if you want, essentially, Pathwave License Manager is the next path for down the road for all of our software to adopt. This particular package is a little advanced because it already is using Pathwave. It looks pretty much almost identical to Keysight License Manager 6. It doesn't matter what's running on the server as much as the application here if you want to check out licenses, but I like to do it from within the application. So we're going to go here. It's going to launch it for you. This is also in the startup. So if I was to go to Pathwave License Manager, I could get there from there as well. It's right next to Keysight License Manager 6. Now, because I've already set up the software for remote license server, so to connect to a remote license server, specify one. That's what we need to do if we want to see where those licenses are. Now, you could put these licenses elsewhere if you would like. We're going to check here. Choose products, digital test apps. That's already here. So you can separate them, I believe. I'm going to use the same server. And it's basically going to select the server. So again, it's going to use the same server because that's where I installed it. Now you could have a server elsewhere where you manage it, but most people are going to manage their licenses on the same server. So we're going to verify that connection. And it checked out and save. So this is important, verifying and saving. Okay, done. So it already picks up the M8000, basically the same license area. So we go to licenses. We see local licenses. That's what's local here. So I've installed a demo all and something else for Infinium, but that won't work on the Flex DCA. And then there's some other software I'm using for a different application. For remote licenses, this is the active list from the license server that I just picked from. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to borrow a license. So let's go ahead and borrow a license. If we click borrow, it's going to go back and check to see what's available right now. And it sees all those licenses we saw in behind, but it checks the present status and then allows you to borrow one. So I'm going to borrow this one. I'm going to borrow now, and I'm going to have a return date of tomorrow. So borrow now. And it will do the background. Oh, it was not borrowed. No messaging. Okay. So we get a little error there. I'm going to go and refresh this and see if we can borrow this license. Now, I checked this one out earlier. Count. It is available. Let's grab this one. Oh, okay. We have to actually specify it here. Let's pick this one. Borrow now. Interesting. Okay. Oh, it's, you know what it's doing? It's actually going to grab the other server. So we should go in and modify. Let's go to Tools, Remote Licenses. Let's go to specify a remote license server. Choose product, digital test apps. Let's modify this one. Let's get at, I think I must have made a boo-boo here. So I'm going to go delete this information, and I'm going to go at 10.0.0.113 and verify that. It will grab the port, or it should, verify the connection and save. That's interesting. Done. Digital test apps and M8000 are now going to draw from here. So maybe that's what happened. I had a different server. So view licenses. Yeah, we see those. Great. Borrow licenses. Now let's see if this works. So I did make a mistake there. Okay, so here we go. Let's pick the first one as we've done before. Borrow now. Let's see what happens. Successfully borrowed. So that's important that you select the correct license server type. It's going to go after that one. So the error actually did help us determine what the issue was. So that's good news. View usage. Let's look at our usages. Yeah, we've got N10100A is now in use. And here's our license server as well. And we can see a remote. Local licenses are different. Those are on the local machine. We don't worry about that. Now, if we go back here, we do have to go back and restart the software, I believe. Yeah, we do, because it's not picking up. Let's see if it will refresh. Oh, interesting. So now it refreshed. So that's even cooler. So we don't have to restart anything at this point. Let's go and take a look now at what's configure. Yeah, now we don't have the little keys up here that require a license key. So this is good. Those would require it if we're going to say remote connect and connect to a remote DCA and use this interface. So let's go put the license back. Okay, so we've got this. We're going into licensing. We're going to go to the pathway of license manager. We're going to return a license. So view the licenses, remote licenses. Here we go. And then here's the borrowed license. So we have that. We have a 1-day borrow. Return the borrowed license early. Check that. Return now. And returning. Done. Okay, now let's close this. We could just go back. View licenses, remote licenses, and view usage. This is what's on the server. They're all back and as they should be. So it should not be active. Let's go into licensing. Let's do so it's checked out, but we do have to do a refresh. Now it's refreshed. There is no license borrowed. And when I click down here, we will see the keys again, and they are back. So that's how it's done. And if any further questions, you know how to reach me. Thank you very much. This is Tim Fairfield from Keysight Technologies.